I once solved a murder the police never could. It took me no longer than my photographs took to dry, and I said nothing. It was not my place to say. But you are not the police, and tonight I am under no such restraint. I am going to give you every photograph I took inside that hotel, every person I found in it, every lie they told me, everything you need to name the killer, you will have, the same as I had it. I found him in the time it takes wet glass to dry. Most men could sit with these photographs for a 12-month and see nothing but a dead man in an expensive room. That, I have found, is rather the trouble with most men. The only question that ought to trouble you is a simpler one. Can you? Liverpool, the 9th of March, 1912. At 7:20 that morning, a chambermaid let herself into suite 411 of the Corvane Hotel, took 2 steps, and began to scream. A dead man lay beside the writing desk, struck once from behind. By 8:15, they had sent for me. My name is Josiah Pike, and I photograph the scenes of crimes for the police, for the insurance men, for whoever settles the invoice. Allow me one word about my trade, because everything that follows turns upon it. In 1912, a photograph was a sheet of glass, a plate. It went into the camera black and gave up nothing at all until it was bathed in the dark through 3 trays of chemistry. And in that first wet minute, as the picture swam up out of the nothing, the man bent over the tray was the only living soul on earth who knew what it showed. I was that man. Remember it. Here is what I owe you, and it is exactly what I owed them. I photograph what I am asked to photograph. All of it. I do not retouch, and I do not withhold a plate. I will not lie to you. I will simply decline to explain. The killer is one of the 5 people I photographed that morning. No strangers, no one you have not seen. You will have every plate I had. Whether you can read them, that is your affair. Augustus Rell, 58. A marine insurance broker, which in Liverpool meant a man who owned a piece of every cargo that left the Mersey. He kept suite 411 the way other men keep a mistress, permanently, expensively, and without telling his wife what it cost. The Corvane was that kind of house. The doorman earned more than a schoolmaster, and nobody asked how. Rell was found on the floor beside the writing desk, struck once from behind. I came with a half-plate camera, a box of glass negatives, and 4 ounces of magnesium flash powder. Flash powder fills a room with white smoke. After 3 plates, you are photographing fog, so you learn to see a room completely before you burn your first charge. I saw that room completely. Remember that. The police surgeon had been and gone before me. His finding, death at around 2:00 in the morning, a careful man, within the narrow little kingdom of his method. A body loses its heat by the hour, like a kettle taken off the stove. You read the cooling, you count backwards, you name your hour. 2:00, he said. The inspector wrote it down, and from that moment, the entire case was a question about 2:00 in the morning. The window of 411 was latched from the inside. I photographed the latch. The corridor door had not been forced. I photographed the lock, which left the inspector with an arithmetic he could do in his head. Rell opened that door himself at night to someone he knew. I will tell you something about hotel work, since we have a moment while the powder smoke clears. A grand hotel is the only building in England worth photographing. Here is why. Everything in it is done to a standard. Every tray is laid the same. Every towel is folded to the same crease. Every grate is raked to the same hour. Every gentleman's collar goes on fresh in the morning and into the basket at night. A hotel is a machine for sameness. And that is the only reason a photograph of a hotel room is ever worth anything. Because when one thing is out of order, you can see it. So, the plates. Plate 1, the corridor. Plate 2, the room. Wide. The desk. The shape on the floor that I will not show you closer, because you do not need it, and I was not paid for postcards. Plate 3, the desk itself. Papers squared, pen capped, blotter clean. A tidy man, Rell. Tidy men die tidily. Plate 4, the fireplace. A fire freshly banked, new coal laid on top, and the tongs left lying on the hearth instead of standing in the rack. Slovenly, for a house so proud of itself. The room was warm as a greenhouse when the maid opened it. Plate 5, the window latch. Plate 6, the connecting door to the adjoining room, his wife's room, unlocked. And Plate 7, the breakfast tray on the desk, delivered at 6:30 by the underwaiter and entered in the service book because the Corvane entered everything. Coffee, for 1, 2 cups, both used. I photographed all of it. That was the arrangement. The inspector never ordered a print of Plate 7. He had his hour, and breakfast trays do not arrive at 2 o'clock in the morning. A fact that does not fit the question gets filed as furniture. Police work is thorough, I will give it that. Thorough the way a plow is thorough. Everything in the furrow gets turned. Everything an inch outside it stays exactly where it was. 20 years, I have watched careful men look at my photographs and see nothing whatever in them. It stopped disappointing me a long time ago. Now, it merely tires me. Now, the 5. The Corvane kept them in the smoking room all morning, under the eye of a constable younger than the port beside him. I was sent in at 20 to 10. The insurers wanted faces for their file. 5 people. One of them had killed the man upstairs 3 hours before, and knew it, and sat there and watched me set up my tripod. I will take them in the order I photographed them. Vivienne Rell, 41. The second, Mrs. Rell, and it was the money she married. Her room adjoined his, through the door I showed you, unlocked. She told the inspector she had taken a sleeping draught and heard nothing all night. The maid supplied the difficulty by 11 o'clock. Mrs. Rell's bed had not been slept in, not rumpled for show, not slept in at all. She looked at the inspector the way you look at weather and said nothing further. She never said anything further. Hold that. Ada Feather, 26. A singer at the Empire. 2 doors down the corridor, in a room that cost more than a singer earns. I do not have to explain her connection to Rell, and out of respect for your intelligence, I will not. She said she was in her room all night. Alone. The night bellboy said otherwise. Not that she left, but that at 2 in the morning somebody sent a note to her door. No name on the envelope. She read it in the doorway and shut the door in his face. She denies there was ever a note. Henrik Sol, 49. A shipowner out of Bergen, and a ruined one. Rell had disputed a cargo claim of his 3 years before, legally everything on paper, and the dispute had eaten Sol's line down to 1 hull and a mortgage. Sol told the inspector he took the 11 o'clock train to Hull and slept in it. That held for 9 days, until a clerk at Lime Street mentioned, in passing, that the 11 o'clock never left. Fog. Cancelled at the platform. For a fortnight he was the case. a ruined foreigner, and a proven lie. The truth, dragged out of him, was a house by the Queen's Dock whose business I declined to name. Nothing to do with Rell, and saying it aloud finished what Rell had started. The only free lesson in this case: a man with a false alibi is a man with a secret. It is not always the same secret. Cyril Bax, 34, Rell's junior partner, ambitious in the polite, patient, filing cabinet way that never frightens anybody until it should. Dinner in the restaurant at 8, the bar until 1, in view of the barman and 2 brokers who knew him by name. His signature on the bill at 7 minutes past 1. It is in the book. 3 witnesses, a signature, a time stamp. For 2 o'clock in the morning, Cyril Bax was the safest man in Liverpool. One porter thought he'd passed him on the stair at 3, going down, dressed. Bax said he had wanted air. In March, in Liverpool, and Wilfred Tarn, 52. The night porter. Now, watch a case assemble itself when the men assembling it have already settled on the ending. It is quite a performance. One almost wants to applaud. Tarn had a conviction, theft, a hotel in Leeds, 11 years old. Rell had caught him going through the pockets of a coat left at the desk and reported him. Tarn was working out his notice. There are 40 minutes missing from his night log between 2:30 and 3:10. And when they searched him, in front of me, while I was folding my tripod, they took Augustus Rell's cigarette case out of his coat pocket. I photographed it on the desk blotter, and the inspector smiled at it, the way men smile at their own cleverness. Tarn said he had found the case on the service stair at 3 in the morning and kept it because he was about to lose his position on the word of the man who owned it. That is either the stupidest story a guilty man ever told, or the truth. Juries know which they prefer. He was charged within the week, and that, you may think, is a case. A thief with a record, a hole in his log, the dead man's silver in his pocket. It went to the magistrates, looking exactly that shape. It fell apart in one morning. The cigarette case was the whole of it. No blood, no witness, nothing anyone could name in the 40 minutes. And even a Liverpool magistrate could see that a man who robs a corpse is not thereby the man who made it one. Discharged, never tried, never cleared either. The file closed on 3 words. No further action. So the case died. The widow would not speak. The singer denied her note. The foreigner had been shamed out of the country. The partner had his witnesses. The porter had his discharge. Nobody hanged for Augustus Rell. The file went into a basement on Dale Street, and I went to Manchester, where a warehouse had burned with its books inside, a different kind of crime scene and an honester one. But you are not the police, and I am under no instruction tonight. So let us go back into the Furrow. I told you the surgeon read the body's heat like a kettle off the stove and counted back to 2 o'clock. I also showed you plate 4. The fire in that room had been banked fresh, coal laid on, within an hour of the door being opened by somebody who was not a chambermaid, because the tongs were down and the Corvane's grates were done at 6 in the evening, not at dawn. That room had been kept warm all night. A warm room is a slow kettle. Count backwards along a curve that flat, and 2 o'clock is not a finding. It is a guess wearing the surgeon's coat. And if 2 o'clock goes, look what goes with it. Plate 7. The tray, logged into 4:11 at 6:30 in the morning. Coffee for 1, and 2 cups, both used. And before you ask what a tray for 1 is doing wearing a second cup, Plate 11 is Miss Feather's tray. Same service, same morning, 1 cup. The Corvane was a machine for sameness. Somebody in that room drank coffee with Augustus Rell at 6:30 in the morning, 50 minutes before the maid screamed. The dead man poured for his guest. He knew him. He was not afraid of him. Every alibi you have heard tonight answers 2 o'clock in the morning. The bar, the bed, the train, the lock. All of it sworn. All of it checked. All of it aimed at an hour when Augustus Rell was very probably asleep and entirely alive. Nobody, not one soul in that building, was ever asked where they were at 6:30. Ask it now. Go around the smoking room and ask it, one face at a time. 4 of them were pulled from their beds or straight off a night's work at 7:45, and they look it. Look at the 5th. 19 plates. The corridor, the room, the desk, the grate, the latch, the door, the tray, the widow's unslept bed, the service stair, the porter's ledger, the singer's single cup, the 2 covers in the service book, the smoking room, and the faces. Closer, one by one. Nothing withheld, nothing retouched. The same plates I carried out of the Corvane on the 9th of March, 1912. I knew before they were dry. You have had them for 14 minutes. So, name him in the comments. The surname will do, and the why of it. Because a name without a why is a coin toss, and you are better than the inspector, or you would not still be here. I could simply tell you, of course. I have known since the plates were wet, but where would be the sport in that? And if you are truly lost, ask me for a clue. I may even answer. I am in a generous humor tonight. I photograph what I am asked to photograph. In 20 years, no one has once asked me for the truth. You just did. That is new.